Hello and greetings. It is wonderful to connect with you all today. And as we get started in this video, I want to share a quote with you that I came across when I opened up my Pinterest this morning. Part of kind of my morning routine. I do things to kind of, get me in alignment, things that inspire me, and sometimes I open my Pinterest in the morning and there will be a quote or some sort of like fashion trend or home thing to do, just some kind of little things to get me inspired. And this quote kind of struck me. And then further, I want to share kind of what this quote means to me, and then kind of some things I've been going through transformationally with my life. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to repeat the quote again because I feel like it'll strike some chords a little bit differently. So the quote is, "When I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me." So imagine yourself standing in front of God, spirit, universe, whatever is the source that you connect with and whatever you choose to call it. Imagine yourself standing before this connection and just saying, being able to say the words, I used everything you gave me. To me, that's powerful, that's very humbling, that's like, wow, and it makes you reflect, well, what are the talents that you gave me? And as we dive further into this, to kind of give you more idea of who we are, so as you see this poster in the background, this is the presence of the soulful self. This is our soul. We are that of which of source, that of God. We are made of the same particles of Him. We come from Him. We are Him, and not Him being Him in a way of an egotistical way, connecting with Him at His same level of who He is, walking hand in hand next to Him, not in front of Him, not behind Him, but next to Him. And when I say Him, I want to say God, source, universe, again, whoever is you connect with. And here's a little bit closer view of that presence of the soulful self. So here we are on earth, and then here we are connecting, our connection with source. This is kind of like our umbilical cord. Like, we are attached to source. We are source. We come from source. We are a particle of Him. And so as we go through life, we are all here trying to do our best. And as I came across that quote today, I want to talk about some words that I use that help me to be able to give my gifts. So usually every year I choose a word. Last year my word was align, to do all things that get me into alignment. This year my word was connection, and really focusing on connection, and not necessarily connection of the out there, but dropping in and connecting from within, and connecting with things and people and sources that help me to become a better version of myself. And as you can see behind my poster back here, I have a poster on my wall of my intention board, and that was all surrounded around my word connection. And this year, part of my connection, about halfway through the year, I was looking to even deepen my connection with self and source, just deepen my connection. And so I decided to start attending church on a regular basis. A little bit of background about me in church. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, so kind of finding a more loving relationship with it. I grew up in a Catholic church for several years, went off to college. I stopped going to church because to me it felt like a checkbox. Check, went to church. Check, we went to 8:30 Mass every morning at St. Christopher's there in Speedways for any of the locals here. I grew up in the Catholic church, went off to college, and went to the church on campus, but was just really finding like, I didn't even know what I was getting out of it. And so after college, then I probably dove more into like spiritual type work. So I did a lot of that, all very supportive and also all very helpful. And now this year, and I've been going to church off and on my whole life. And then my son went to a private school here at Traders Point, again for the locals who are familiar. And so we have been going to the Traders Point church off and on for the last 10 years that we've been in this school district. And this year, halfway through, I decided I want to deepen my connection with God, whatever that looks like. And again, I have some issues or some strong biases against religion itself. I feel like religion can be very muddy and it's a very separated feeling. What I grew up knowing is that you're a sinner, you're bad, you do all these things, you're never going to be good enough. So for me, that's what religion feels like, and very hierarchy. And that's when I hear religion, I just go, ugh. But through this series, we're going through church recalibration. Our pastor was talking about the difference between religion and worship. And to me, that brought a new lens of viewing church, because I always had a bad taste in my mouth about church, because I just cringed on the idea of religion, because I feel like, again, different opinions with that, but the idea of it being worship, and the word worship I do align with. Anyways, I started to attend church to deepen the connection within myself. Again, going back to my word that I picked, connect, connection, whatever it means to deepen my connection with myself and with God, universe, source. That is my goal and my intention. So back to that quote. So this morning, this all ties together, I promise, just hang on. So this morning when I opened up my Pinterest, and that quote was the very first thing that I saw. And my son and I went to church this morning, and I just want to discuss the message that church was about today, because it was so much in alignment with that quote and just the synchronicities of things. And when we just settle down and pay attention to the messages that are all around us, it's amazing what God, universe, source does for us. Okay, so the message in church today was about, giving ourselves to God, stepping into our gifts that God gave us in order to serve and worship. And I want you to think about, as we're continuing this video, what are some of your spiritual gifts? And the question that was brought up is, what are my spiritual gifts? What are the gifts that God gave me? Again, back to that quote. At the end of the day, I can say I used everything you gave me. So I was reflecting on what are my spiritual gifts. Well, mine landed for me back in 2010, the spring of 2010, was this light bulb went off, or you can call it a God calling, source calling, universe calling, whatever. I got this message that I needed to go to massage school. I was in this complimentary consultation, and at the end of this consultation, you got a free 15-minute massage. And when this therapist was working on me, that's when this message came through to me loud and clear. Go to massage school. This is supposed to feel completely different. You have something that you need to go out and share with the world. So I called my mom. I was like, I need to go to massage school. And by that fall, I was enrolled. And it has provided and blessed me in so many ways. And I knew, and I still know that doing massage and body work and healing is my calling, is what I'm here to do on earth. How do I know? Well, also a couple of times I've stepped out of that practice and getting other jobs where I know I could be more doing more jobs that are more lucrative than, we'll say, being a massage therapist and being a business owner. It does require a lot of work, being an entrepreneur and business owner, but at the same time it's fun. It has its perks and benefits. But there's a couple times throughout my career that I stepped out of my calling. And when I was doing those other jobs, I realized I just got pulled back in, because this is where I am supposed to be. Surrendering to this has also been very fulfilling and educating for me as well. Surrendering to my calling. It can be tough for us. It's a big leap of faith, but also trusting that, because if you're being called and led to do something, follow it. There is some good soup, some good ingredients in there for you. And also, as I bring that up, our spiritual gifts are what we're here to do here on earth. While we're here on earth, we all have gifts to share. We do. And approaching our end of the year, and also thinking about my next year word. I already know my word for next year is going to be transition. Align, connect, transform, ACT, ACT is kind of an acronym I came up with. But my word for next year is transform. And as I continue to align with my calling, connect with my calling or spiritual gift, your calling, spiritual gifts, connecting with it, there's been so much coming across my plate for me. I'm being called to do more. And as scary as it sounds, trusting in Source and trusting in God and going in that direction, my next calling I'm feeling led to is, teaching, educating, coaching, and I'm huge in the health and wellness lifestyle, and currently going through a functional nutrition coaching program, because I want to be able to continue to help and serve my clients and my community to live a long and joyful life, because that's all we all desire here to do. So as we're coming close to the end of this year, my invitation for you is start to reflect on what are your spiritual gifts. Sit with that, connect with that. You may not know what your spiritual gift is, but also just sitting and connecting with it. And also, what would it feel like if I were doing my calling? Because sometimes you may not know what your calling is. Just start sensing a feeling, and usually behind some of those tangible ideas, there's a feeling behind it, because ideally it's those feelings that we are desiring to connect with. So a lot of people decide to own their own business, but behind that is because they want the freedom. So connecting with words like freedom, joy, love, happiness, and then from that will come into form some of your spiritual callings. So another thing that Pastor was talking about today is be the church you've always wanted to attend. And I related that to be the change you wish to see in the world, instead of pointing fingers at other people, them not doing this and not doing that. And you start with change by changing yourself. And so that really hit home with me as well. And that's always been true. If you want things to change, you have to start with yourself and change with yourself first. So again, I will, as we're coming to a close here in this video, with the quote again. When I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left, and I could say, I used everything you gave me. So as we're nearing this end of the season, end of this year, reflect on that. Because I know we all want to be transformed. We all want to be happier and enjoy. Next year is going to be very transformational for a lot of people. So as we enter in this holiday season, hold in your heart I used everything you gave me. And if you don't feel like you used everything yet, there's still more for you. And showing up and being open and learning to surrender to that calling. It can be scary, I know. But surrendering to that calling and trusting it and sticking to the course and sticking to the path. The secret to success is simply consistency to purpose. And as long as you purposefully continue to show up, you're doing it. Much love and many blessings to you all, and continue on the journey.